You told me the other day that you feel like kids should disrespect their parents.
Let me put that in context. How many of you guys in this room would like to raise your children to be strong-minded, independent-thinking, ambitious kids or adults, right? Mm-hmm. Well, if you are going to instill that, part of that is confidence, part of that is voice, part of that is knowing I have value. And when you're teaching your child that, and I'm talking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the first place they practice voice is on you guys.
Correct.
And when I was a kid, I had 2 brothers. My mother would say, Ellie, go do the dishes. And I would be like, why didn't you ask one of them? And that would get me popped. But if you're teaching your child to be confident, to be strong, to value their voice, they should ask those kinds of questions, and it allows you to parent them. We confuse respect for silence, and I think that's a problem. If I say, go paint the house, and the child says, yes, ma'am, and goes paint, we think, oh, that's such a respectful child. But that same child, if some strong-willed 17-year-old kid in high school says, let's go skip school, they're gonna say, yes, sir. Like, we have to teach them to question, why am I painting the house? I should understand the context of the life that I live in.
More than likely, like myself, you were probably one of them kids that grew up and you stayed antisocial. And maybe that's part of the reason why you're watching videos like these right now, to sort of get some control back into your life. You know, I had to come to the realization recently that a lot of the parenting that was happening towards me, regardless of the fact that I love my moms, I grew up with a single parent, and she did what she could. But I do know that I was sucking my thumb till 13, partly because I didn't feel comfortable expressing what I felt was either questionable, like me drawing on the wall or me throwing eggs, things that obviously, you know, you as a kid, you don't know any better. But if you got punished for them, especially me, I got beatings all the time. I used to hide belts. Then more than likely, you grew up with a bit of a trauma that it carried on into your adulthood. So even the way that you converse, maybe you have a hard time finding words in conversation, or you get lost or overthink. And maybe partly the reason why that is because you weren't able to really exercise that muscle in your impressionable years. I know I didn't. I'm still struggling with that right now, and that's kind of partly the reason why I'm doing this. So what I feel like has helped me is exactly what I just said. Doing things to put yourself in compromising positions to test your confidence and how to articulate your thoughts and translate them through conversation. Standing up for yourself means that you're going to have to put yourself in the fray, and you're going to have to do things that may cause that anxiety-inducing feeling, that butterfly feeling that we get in our stomach, that heart-racing feeling that we get that we don't want to do. It makes us feel uncomfortable. But the more you start to purposefully put yourself in positions to sort of sink or swim, or at least feel the feeling and acknowledge the feeling and get more comfortable and get used to that feeling of anxiety, it makes being comfortable around people and even being secure within yourself a little bit easier. So one thing I do now is I try to give at least 5 compliments to strangers. I try to start at least one conversation, maybe 2 or 3 depending on my mood, but for the most part, at least one conversation a day when I go out with a complete stranger, and just talk about whatever crosses my mind, talk about whatever thing that they might have been wearing, whatever energy that they might have been bringing into the conversation, whatever it is that crosses my mind. I'm not going to hold my tongue anymore. I'm going to continue. I'm just going to talk. I'm just going to, hi, how are you doing? And survive that feeling of awkwardness, that feeling of, I don't know you, I know you don't know me, and I know that we're strangers right now, but your objective isn't necessarily to make a quote-unquote connection. If that happens, cool. But your objective is to get used to and get eventually over that feeling of anxiety and that social insecurity that you've had ever since you were a kid, because your parents didn't nurture you being more social. If you happen to have that naturally, then by all means, cool for you. But I'm talking to the people that were like me, that have been sucking their thumbs since they was like 12, 13 and stayed in the back of the class in high school, and, you know, for the most part just stayed observational versus conversing. But these are the things that I would do. What I would also say is you have to take into consideration that we all have some form of trauma. I'm going to list some of the ones that I have right now that I'm still working on, getting better at them, but that's because I'm putting myself in positions to work through them. So, and this is partly what I'm doing here, this interaction that me and you are having right now. I'm gonna leave with this. It's not your fault. It's not your fault that you're the way that you are. It's not your fault that you have issues expressing yourself as freely without thinking about the consequences of someone judging you or whatever the case may be. It's not your fault that whatever version of you, the best version of you that you have in your mind, you're not actualizing that into your reality, because there's a bridge that you're missing, a bridge that you weren't able to build when you were a child. Now's the time to build that bridge so that you can become more of the version of you that you see in your heart and in your mind and in your spirit. And I hope that this video helps, and I hope that this insight that I'm saying afterwards helps as well, because I know it's helping me for sure. So get to work. If you like and are a fan of these type of videos, please be sure to like and comment and subscribe. I'm trash at this. Please be sure to like and comment and subscribe down below. And if you have an opinion on this particular video, I would love to hear your opinion down in the comment section below. And let's start a conversation about being more social and being more confident. Anyway, love you. And that's it. See you in the next one.